Hello and welcome to episode 238 of First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and with me, as always, from West Coast, Best Coast, Emma. How are you doing?
Hoi, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good. It was a good day at work. Got some stuff done. Nothing crazy happened. Excited to come and chat some geeky news.
Woo!
This week we're chatting about Barbenheimer, uh, SAG-AFTRA going on strike, and then Doctor Who is coming to the world of Magic the Gathering with our first look from San Diego Comic-Con. And so we'll be chatting all of that. And as always, you can find us on our social media as OneGeek411. I almost said as Hugh Marwittle, which is correct. That's where you can find me, but not really what we're at right now. And so you can find us as
It's not where you can find all of us.
Exactly. You can join our Discord server or send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can watch live on Twitch, 6:45 Mountain Time, and find the videos over on YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe. And then you can also find our Redbubble store.
Woo.
Before we get into the news for the week, Emma, what have you been up to?
First things first, finished Tears of the Kingdom, which is exciting. And I will continue poking around the entire map, which is huge, because I 100% have not discovered everything yet. And it's a lot of fun. And we will save in-depth thoughts and opinions for later, because we may or may not do a spoiler cast. So that's happening. And then today's Monday. So yes, yesterday, I started learning magic, and it's a lot of fun.
And I'm so hyped.
And I am very excited to keep learning more. It was very much like a basic, very much beginner playthrough or whatever. Borrowed my roommate's one of her decks, and it was a cat's deck, which was fun. Like, it's like white and green, a white and green deck with all cats in it. And I think the thing that really helps is the fact that I've played D&D before, so I'm like kind of versed in complicated rules and rounds being set up into tiny, smaller sub-steps and things. And like actions having like supplies or resources that you need to use and stuff like that. So like I think that helped a lot with like being able to interpret the rules. But I'm still very much a beginner and not able to like not theorize, strategize quite yet. But
it looked like you played Commander.
Topic. Yes.
Okay.
From what I am able to tell of the games.
Yeah. And honestly on that, I've played Magic pretty consistently for about 10 years now, and there's still stuff that I would have gotten that rule wrong or stuff like that. There's still a lot of that in it. There's so much going on, and the advice I always give people when they're getting into Magic is find a niche and just worry about that. Yeah. There's so much out there. You don't need to know everything. Learn how your deck works, and then you can worry about other people.
100%. 100%. So I had a lot of fun, and I definitely want to play more to just get more familiar with it. And we had a good time. So, yeah.
I'm excited. I'm hoping that now that you're learning, we can get a 4-person, all of the podcast people playing together. Yeah. And that we can do that as a fun game night type stream. It's just us playing Commander. So
absolutely. And I'm excited for this new deck coming out, or pack, or whatever you call it, that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest reason I am learning how to play.
Right. I can't imagine that this had something to do with that decision.
There is absolutely no reason I am learning how to play. No motivation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, you're good. On my end, I went and saw both Barbie and Oppenheimer over the weekend. I'll talk about them a bit more in our main topic for this week, because we do have some Barbenheimer news. So I'll kind of save that for a little bit later on. We also started watching the latest season of What We Do in the Shadows, all about these vampires living on Staten Island. Really enjoying the setup for this new season. I had forgotten where the last season ended. And so coming back into it, I was a little surprised. But I'm really liking where, like, kind of the main premise of this season. And then in terms of gameplay, I also beat Tears of the Kingdom. So that's exciting. I was definitely at the point where I felt that I needed to beat the story. That, like, as you referenced, there's so much in that game. And I felt like if I just keep going, I'm going to, like, lose interest in the game. And I need to just
never
like
actually
get through
finish it. Yeah.
I
like,
wanted to actually
finish the story.
Finish. Yeah. And so I wanted to roll credits. I wanted to see how the story ended. And so knocked that out last week. As Emma referenced, we need to touch base with Shanine and Chris and see if they are playing / how close they are to done. We might do a spoiler cast sooner rather than later, kind of just depending on where people are with it. Because I really want us to have a spoiler cast because I have a lot of feelings that I need to talk through. So
good. Both in between.
Well, we'll see. We have to wait till we do a spoiler cast.
Cameron's being tight-lipped about it.
And then other than that, still been playing through Final Fantasy. Working my way through Final Fantasy 16 over on Cameron plus Deanna. The tracker on the PlayStation says I'm around like 60-something% through the game. And so making pretty good progress and loving it. And so I said this, I think, right after it came out, our first episode, that as long as this game sticks to the landing, this is going to be my favorite Final Fantasy. And so far, it has continued to do that. Everything has just been like more and more hype, and I'm just like all on board with all of it. And so, I still have 40-ish% of the game to go, so things could definitely still not land, but at least for where we are right now, it's definitely my favorite Final Fantasy game. And so,
if you're now that I'm done with Tears of the Kingdom, I can get back into finishing that and Star Wars and Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I spent a good chunk of time yesterday playing Hogwarts.
Nice.
Saturday.
Booted Hogwarts Legacy back up and got like one mission in, and I was like, I'm not vibing with this right now, and stopped.
There you go.
I still need to push through. I'm kind of in the same place with that I was with Tears, where I just need to push through and get to the end.
Yeah.
And I've just kind of been procrastinating it. And so, but we'll see. And then I still need to start Jedi Survivor. I still haven't played that. So, since I watched like Deanna stream it, I just haven't really had the desire to, I'm not in as big of a hurry to go play it, I guess is the way to say that. So I do really want to get there because I think it'll be a game that I will love just based on everything that she went through playing. But
it's a lot of fun. I just got to a good part that's like, ooh, because I've been avoiding spoilers for it, and it's like I both did and did not see that coming, and it's very cool and very fun, and I'm like, I can't wait to get deeper into this.
We'll talk post-stream. I'm curious to what it was. So
yes, it may or may not be going. I mean, it was what I was expecting, in the sense of like, I was expecting something further down the road that is a result of this thing that is currently happening. That I'm like, this is going to be fun to see where they take with this. So anyway, I am purposefully avoiding spoilers for people who have not played and or watched it. So
let's get into our main topic for this week, and that is Barbenheimer dominating the box office this weekend.
Yes.
Barbie coming in with 162 million opening weekend.
Do you want a fun fact?
Yes.
About that specifically? World record / officially top of the list for the highest grossing female director film. Which I'm very pleased about. continue.
No, great call. It did beat Captain Marvel was the previous with 153 million, and so, and then Barbie is also the largest opening weekend of 2023, beating out the Super Mario movie, and so, which I think is also awesome because that's a lot more of a like mass market movie. And so Barbie like beating that opening weekend I think is awesome.
100%.
And then over in the world of the 1940s, Oppenheimer brought in. Oh, and these are all domestic. I guess I should clarify. Oppenheimer brought in $82.4 million, and is doing a ton of work as well. This from Variety says it's one of the best starts ever for an R-rated film, as well as a biographical drama.
Yeah.
And so definitely helps the Barbenheimer memes. And then I also saw that this is okay. So here, more impressively, the box office powered to its fourth biggest weekend in history with over 300 million industry wide. The top three weekends of all time are led by Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, and then Star Wars The Force Awakens in 2019, 2018, and 2015, respectively. And so,
which all makes sense.
Yeah. And so big shout out to Barbie, to Oppenheimer, all the people that did work on those movies. I have seen both. Both are amazing. Where is your interest in these, Emma?
I would love to see them. I just haven't gotten the chance yet. I just haven't gotten around to it. I was going to see Oppenheimer today with some people, but plans kind of fell through. So I ended up not going to see it and working on editing projects instead.
Nice.
But I will hopefully, maybe this weekend after I get this next project completed, I want to go see them. Just because it would be fun to see them both in theater, to say I was a part of that. But the other thing I was gonna sort of contribute to this that I shared on my Instagram was the fact that Barbie and Oppenheimer releasing at the same time did not result in a Barbie versus Oppenheimer, and instead produced a Barbie and Oppenheimer, tells me something has healed in the world. I don't know, but I thought that was a cool point that someone pointed out of the fact that we're not pitting these two very opposite things against each other, but rather why not both?
Yeah.
Why not both? Let's go see both. That's a really cool, and it was so coincidental, but ended up being just the greater world was that's cool. We're gonna jump in and play with it because why not? So I just think that's great and a fabulous way for people to take what they're given and run with it and be like, this is so cool. We're going to do it. So
yeah, it reminds me a whole lot of 2020 when Animal Crossing and Doom were coming out the same weekend, right at the start of COVID. And there's so many crossover memes and stuff like that for that. And then we kind of have the same vibe here of we have this bright and colorful Barbie and then this very not bright and colorful
death and destruction.
Yeah. And I love the rising tide or whatever that is. Such and such, rising tides lift all ships. There we go. Is that the I don't know why I just completely blanked on that expression, but I love that as a great illustration here of we saw Barbie on Thursday night when it premiered, and so Oppenheimer was showing, but we didn't see people that were there for Oppenheimer, and then Saturday we went and saw Oppenheimer. And as we were leaving, there was a group of high schoolers that had been in there, and they all had Barbenheimer shirts.
That is fabulous.
I was so excited for them because that's 100% where my friend group would have been in high school. So I was chatting with them because I'm a social person that chats with random people, and they had gone to like it was like a 3 to 6 showing of Oppenheimer, and then we're going to get dinner, and then coming back for the 7:30 showing of Barbie.
Nice.
And I was like, yes, like that just made me so happy that like, because it's always like, what bubble are you in? Like a lot of people were like steering into the meme, but it's like,
what niche of entertainment are you in? But this is like, you don't have to be in a niche. You can be, and then you can cross over to other niches.
Exactly. And so getting
Embrace
to see
them
that,
all.
getting to see the meme like cross and be like part of everybody, or multiple age groups and stuff, made me really happy. And so I'll say
this is a solid picture you picked for the stream.
Yes, yeah, I had to find a good meme for it with both of them, and so I would say of the two, I mean, I'm a comedy person, so like I loved Barbie. I will say if you can only see one in theater, it's probably Oppenheimer. Like that's the movie that you definitely want to see on a bigger screen. That's much more
of a big screen.
Yeah. We saw it with like the Cinemark XD, so like the chairs shook and stuff. And so like that was super cool, definitely added to the experience. Obviously that for most people is not an experience you'd be able to get at home. And so let alone just like the general surround and crazy big screen and stuff like that. I will say specifically for Barbie, there was a lot of cheering in the audience. There was a lot of hoots, a lot of that kind of stuff. So that's one that like I don't necessarily feel like you would be missing out as long as you can like watch it with friends. But I feel like a lot of good comedies, it's best to be watching with people that are there to have fun.
Yeah.
And be laughing together. I do think like the plot holds up really well. I don't think it's like the shallow comedy.
Good.
But I'm very hopeful that it'll have a lot of good legs in the theater and will like for both Barbie and Oppenheimer, but will hold and will like be able to keep audiences engaged after an insane opening weekend. I know there are talks specifically for Barbie about it if it'll cross the $1 billion mark. Which would be crazy in a good way. We'll have to wait and see if that happens, but really curious to what that's going to be like. And so definitely recommend both of them. Be ready to be sad coming out of Oppenheimer, just as a heads up to everyone. Be ready to not be sad coming out of Barbie.
So what I'm hearing is we should be doing Oppenheimer first and then Barbie.
So what I have heard is you want to do it Barbie first, then Oppenheimer. And that's because the existential dread at the end of Oppenheimer makes it so you can't laugh in Barbie.
That's fair.
That's what I've heard people say. My thought would be to do it the way that you said, is to do Oppenheimer first, then use Barbie as like the palate cleanser.
The cheer up.
Yeah, that's what I would expect as well.
The thing that makes everyone happy.
Yeah. But I have heard to do Barbie first. Or like you'll enjoy Barbie more if you do it first, because then you're not in like a downer mood. So if you're watching over on YouTube, let us know what you thought about Barbenheimer. Have you seen both? Have you seen just one? I'm very excited kind of for what this means for the box office as a whole also. Like it's just like this insane weekend. People will go to the theaters if you give them good stuff to go see. And so
provide and the people will come.
Exactly. Okay, Emma, what do you got for us today?
We'll see. A big thing from my little corner of the world, which is a huge influence on the rest of the world, is that SAG-AFTRA has also joined the writers on strike. And for anyone who doesn't know, SAG-AFTRA is basically the biggest / only biggest, I'm going to go with biggest, Actors Guild / union, essentially on the planet, which means for the first time in just over 60 years, both the writers and the actors are on strike. The last time this happened was 1960s, 1960 specifically, which is huge. The last time the writers were on strike, we know that was 2008, because that's when we got things like Dr. Horrible Sing Along Blog that was completely independent. But now it's like, here we are, and the actors decided to go on strike primarily because they were getting like 80 cents in residuals for projects being on streaming, for major shows like Orange is the New Black, for being on like 3 seasons of Orange is the New Black. One of the actors was getting $20 a year for that, and was having to do a side job not acting in order to survive, as well as not pushing back against studios wanting to use their likeness in AI without their consent, which is totally valid.
Yep.
Totally valid. Yep. Other thing to like refuse to work for, because it's like, no, that's not right. Like,
you may know more of the specifics here, but like, wasn't one of them for an extra, they'd pay you like $200 to scan you into AI so they could use you without use your likeness
rest of eternity
forever. Yeah, without,
and then you wouldn't get any residuals or like anything for that. So you get a one-time payment of $200.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
Don't get anything else from that. And this is coming from an industry where the CEOs and the executives are all like earning several $100 million every year, and are earning like 400 times. Oh, I got mail. Thanks, Lauren. Like CEOs are getting 400 times their lowest workers' payment, whereas 60 years ago they were only getting 10 times their lowest paid employees' income. So it's insane to think that it's gone up there. It's like not tripled, but it's gone up 40 times essentially, if my math is right. And the CEOs and execs are saying the higher up are saying like, all these demands are unreasonable, and yet they are able to live while their employees are not. So yeah, big news. We are likely going to see the effects of it in like a year as entertainment. This is just my personal prediction. TV and movies are going to start dwindling for a while, even if this gets resolved sometime in the next few months, because there's going to be this huge delay as productions get shut down and nothing can proceed / go forward. There are a few productions that are getting strike passes, essentially, from SAG. This is something that I find interesting, including The Chosen, which is about Jesus, which I think is cool, because they are already meeting and or surpassing the demand requirements of the unions.
Oh, that's cool.
So those unions are like, yeah, you guys can keep doing what you're doing because you are surpassing what we expect of you for your employees and your actors, which is great. Because it's just like, they don't want to prevent the people who are doing the right thing from doing the right thing. And I think that's really cool, because it's like, they're like, yeah, you guys get to pass because you're actually like doing a good job.
Yeah, this is what we want other studios to do. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, thank you for doing it. We want you to keep going and set an example for the big studios and be like, hey, like, the reason they're still doing their thing is because they have surpassed our like functional what we're asking of you, which is great. So that's the other thing I thought I would bring up, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's the news on this end.
Of that. I think that's super cool that there are those exceptions. That was not something I'd heard before, but that's awesome. That like, again, thank you for like doing this right by your people. Please keep making stuff. Like, that's awesome.
It helps to have someone who follows this kind of thing.
Yes.
So that's something that I'm like, yeah, that should be like mentioned and explained to the greater world.
Mhm.
Of like, there are productions that are like still going and things that will still keep coming out. But part of the reason that's happening is because they have gotten the green light from the unions who are using their union employees to keep working because they meet the union requirements for livable wage and not using AI to replace their employees and, all of these very basic things. So it's like there's still stuff happening. It's just not going to be as much that's happening because of big studios. So, yeah, that's what I've got in terms of entertainment strikes.
Yeah.
Yay!
Pay your writers, pay your actors. Like, it's. I mean, this is. We didn't get to talk about this last week because we were doing our Taylor Swift ranking.
Yeah.
But like, it's sure is interesting that this starts and then we immediately have the second or fourth largest box office ever because
Mm-hmm.
of your writers and actors. Like, obviously, there's a ton of people that
Mm-hmm.
work on movies, but like these, when you get people that want to represent stories well and people that can tell good stories, like we get like insane stuff like Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yep.
And so
I saw something that was referring specifically to Barbenheimer, where someone was like, this Barbenheimer just goes to show that we want unique stories, not branded stories. And while yes, like Barbie is a branded story, it's still like the way that it's written and the story that it tells is a unique story, which I think is cool.
uh, well, I guess let's get into our final topic. And this is kind of a follow up to something that we had discussed before. But we have, as of San Diego Comic Con, gotten the reveal of the first batch of cards for the Doctor Who Secret or Universes Beyond crossover with Magic the Gathering. And Gavin put out a really good video on it. I'll drop the link in chat and we'll have it in the show notes as well. And very excited for what this means. We also, as you can see on screen, got a couple card art. We're just going to be showing off the 10th Doctor just as like a representative of the whole conversation. And then as part of it, we also saw this really cool frame, which is the version of the 10th Doctor that we're showing, which is the TARDIS frame. They were like showing, it's like, you know what else is rectangular? The TARDIS. And so that's where that's where this style came from. And so they also showed off a version of the TARDIS card in this frame where like the card art window is just the doors to the TARDIS. And I'm like, well done. You did it. And so like I said, this was revealed before. We've kind of in an overview talked about it in the past, but the way that this is going to work is that there's going to be 4 commander decks, similar to what happened with the Warhammer 40K decks. And then there's also going to be collector's boosters, which is going to be where you can find the special art versions of cards. So we're going to talk more, I guess, like about specific cards, obviously, once we know more. We might get a return of the top 10, since now we all have like a very different take on this crossover. And so very excited for what that's going to be. But Emma, I guess we'll start with you. What does Doctor Who mean to you? What are your hopes for, as somebody who's very new, as we just heard, to Magic the Gathering? What are your hopes for Doctor Who Commander?
I mean, given the fact that this is the driving factor for me starting to learn Magic, I feel like that says a lot about my love and passion for this show. It's really 2009, 2008, 2009, right? Like 2 seasons into the reboot, I got into it. And it's what got me into science fiction and fantasy and Marvel. So it's like really, it's always been the jumping off point for that I refer to as the start of my nerddom. as a nerd, and it is very much to this day my comfort show. If I'm just having the worst, day or week or whatever, I'm like, I'm just gonna go put on an old episode of Doctor Who, and I am instantly better. So this was very much like, as I just said, the driving factor for me getting into Magic, because I'm like, I am invested. Plus, this is like, I understand Doctor Who and I know Magic is a complicated game. So if there's at least one aspect of it that I already know very well, which happens to be Doctor Who, then I can like apply some better logic to it of like, okay, I understand who the Doctor is in this like universe. I understand what the TARDIS is in this universe. I understand what the sonic screwdriver is in this universe, and like the general things or general roles all of those things play. Then it's like, great, that's a great jumping off point for me to get into this complex dramatic game of hundreds of rules or whatever, like and it's such a great opportunity for plays on art, which we're already seeing. Like, and that's one of the few things I know about Magic, is that the art is great. So I'm just really looking forward to. I said this before the show to Cameron. Like, if I spend any money on building Magic decks, it's going to be all be on building Doctor Who decks.
Yep.
Because that's like the only motivation I have. I'm like, yeah, like I can see if I'm going to do any / build any Doctor Who or any Magic decks, it would be Doctor Who themed, because that just tracks with who I am. And I'm glad. I love the fact that they're pulling in like classic Who characters as well, like Adric and K9 and the older Doctors, which is so exciting because they're not just focusing on New Who. They're pulling in older characters as well, which is a lot of fun. So that is my brief, contained excitement for this thing that I'm like, yes. Oh yeah, and the Valyard. I'm scrolling further down. Yeah. They've got the Valyard. That's exciting. That's cool.
Shanina's with us in chat and says, I love the special sets, fun flavor and more self-contained with the rules. You don't have to keep buying the newest cards. You can just pick up a themed set and play. And that's 100% where I'm at. Like, Warhammer was not really my thing. Those decks looked really cool. I know Shanine and Travis have been having a lot of fun playing with them. But like, that's not an IP that like I have any current attachment to versus Doctor Who. And so like, this is like obviously we, in Magic, we just got Lord of the Rings as well. We've gotten D&D as our other major crossovers. We had a handful of other ones like, Fortnite, Walking Dead, Transformers, stuff like that. Stranger Things was another one. And this is like the first like really big Commander set one that has been like this IP that I'm super invested in, or super invested in parts of it. I guess maybe that's a better way to say that. And so I'm really excited for this. I'm also really excited because I think this is the most different of the ones that they've done. Like, while like Warhammer 40K is very different thematically than Magic, I feel like the audience is very similar. It's the same people that are going to game shops. It's the same people like Warhammer and Magic people. While we might not understand the games, we understand each other. And then I feel like Doctor Who is just like way out there, so different. At its core, Doctor Who is not about violence, which like is something that like obviously Magic as a game where the combat step is a major part of the game. Like, I'm so interested to see if they're able to bring that in, the idea of like everyone lives with the Doctor. I'm so interested.
Like, attack or battle or whatever is like really like the Doctor working his way around the violence, which would be cool. I'm excited. I'm already looking at pre-orders and stuff. So
So real quick for some
Excited.
things that people can pre-order. There's going to be 4 commander decks. They're all 3 colors. And then the 3 of them are looking at different eras of the Doctor. And then the final one is all about the villains. And so there's Blast from the Past, which is looking at Old Who, or Classic Who, which is going to contain the first 8 Doctors, and that's green, white, and blue. It's going to also include their companions. Emma referenced K9 earlier, and so it's going to reference those moments. And then the second one that we're going to get is Timey-Wimey, which is going to be led by the 10th Doctor. And that one is going to feature the 9th, 10th, and 11th. And it's going to be red, blue, and white. And then that'll contain companions like Rose Tyler, as well as they reference the War Doctor and the Face of Bo. And then the next one that we're going to have is Paradox Power, which is going to feature the 12th and 13th Doctors, which are going to be green, blue, and red. And that's one that I'm least familiar with, but I do want to say I love that the 12th Doctor's art is him on the tank playing guitar, because I know that is, Emma, one of your favorite like scenes, and I'm just super glad that that's the one that got
one of the
chosen.
best scenes in the entire show is that one right there.
Yeah. And then the last one is the Masters of Evil, which is going to be led by Davros, and then is going to be about the villains of magic from throughout the eras. And so they show off some cool art for the Weeping Angels, the Master, Missy, and so very cool stuff there. And then this is also going to be a plane chase set, which is a whole other way of playing Magic, where you you have a plane that sits in the middle of the table, and then certain cards like the TARDIS will let you planeswalk, where you can then travel to a different point normally in the multiverse, but I assume with this in time as well. And so each deck, I think they said, is going to have 10 chase planes that you can use, and cool. Then we'll have a lot of cards that interact with either chaos ensuing or with traveling the multiverse. And then I guess second to last, I do want to call out a little bit of the companions. So the way that they are presenting this set is that it's make your own episode. So even if things did not actually happen in the show, you can do them in the game. All of the companions are going to have an ability called Doctor's Companion, which allows you to have 2 commanders as long as one of them is the Doctor and the other one has that ability. So you can pair Rose Tyler with the 10th Doctor, but you can also pair Rose Tyler with the first Doctor. And so they're actually going to have that ability to kind of mix and match. So I believe they said all of the companions are 1 color and all the Doctors are 2. So you can definitely mix and match, not just to how you want to play the game, but also to what vibe you want to do. And so presumably Rose Tyler is going to be white, because the 10th Doctor is blue and red. But the 11th Doctor might be blue and white, and then his companion can be red. And so we're going to see that kind of as like different options for what the games are going to look like. And you have this cool ability to mix and match. And then
so, question, as someone who's more knowledgeable of this kind of thing, this isn't like these decks aren't like limited run things. So they're released and then we can buy like the deck sets for, they're not going to like run out of them or whatever. They'll keep producing them.
Presumably, yeah. They have not said that it's going to be a limited run. Okay. I know that for the Warhammer one specifically, they confirmed that they weren't, and they were going to keep printing to demand. And so that's definitely something good and I assume that means if they knew with Warhammer to not do a limited run, I assume that means they would also not do one for these. But I don't know if that's been confirmed.
Because I'm looking at their thing and I'm like, the debate of which I would probably get 2 of the deck sets or whatever. But I would like to eventually get all of them if I could.
Yeah.
So if they're not gonna like stop handing them out or like selling them or whatever, then that makes me feel better because I'm like, what if I want all of them?
Yeah, I'm trying to do a quick Google. I'm curious to what we're looking at. And of course, like it can get very hard to like get in. Okay, so currently on Amazon, you can buy all 4 of the Warhammer decks for $180. So like they are still available. That's buying like the 4-pack, but
yeah,
they are still.
But given that this is going to be a pre-order, new release type thing,
yeah,
it's probably going to be because like the collector booster display is 300. So
yeah. Yeah, and that'll contain the cards that are in the decks themselves, but just in the cooler frames.
Yeah.
So, the thing I want to call out is that there's going to be the return of sagas, with each of the Doctors getting their own based on an episode that they appeared in. So we got the Parting of Ways for the 13th Doctor. For the 13th, for the 9th Doctor.
I was only half paying attention, but I was like,
yes,
that doesn't
sound right.
Doesn't sound right.
For the 9th Doctor. So we get our Bad Wolf reference in there. And I'm very excited for that. For kind of each moment. They've shown off some of the art for them. And so like for the 11th Doctor, we get the 11th hour. And then for some of the villains, or for Missy, we get Death in Heaven. And so, and the art for that one is insanely cool. And then I guess last thing I'll say here is we also get the return of flavor words, which don't necessarily mean anything to the game itself, but just add the idea of flavor to what's going on. So for the 10th Doctor, we got Allons-y, and then timey-wimey as his ability words. And so I'm very excited. I love that they started doing this with the D&D set. I think it adds so much flavor to the actual abilities. And I cannot wait for us to do a stream and for people to loudly be yelling and talking about how timey-wimey things are getting. So
I've got in the background my timey-wimey poster.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's that whole quote inside the TARDIS. I don't know if I'm in frame. I am.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Yeah, there you go.
There I am. I kept it from college. I refuse to get rid of it.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. We'll definitely be talking more about this as we get closer. Hoping to find a time. I'm not sure if Chris will join us, since Chris is the not interested in Doctor Who side of things. Whereas the other three of us have
in that
crossover.
regard.
Yeah. And so I'm curious if he'll be a part of it as well, or if it'll just be Yumi and Shanine.
He could be the one playing the non-Doctor Who deck.
Yeah. And so I'm just very excited, especially for you, as like this being your entry point, that like I'm just so excited and so hopeful that this will be something that you'll really connect with. Because I think
yes.
as Shanine referenced in chat, like I think that that's part of the fun of these decks, is that there's such a good way to come in and you can just get your deck and you have your Doctor Who deck, and it's great because of the IP. And so I'm just so hopeful that like you as like the target audience for like these, like
I am very much the target audience.
I'm so excited for what it means.
10 out of 10. Like, do I need any more Doctor Who related stuff? No. Am I going to get it anyway? Yes. Like every week I have my scarf up, but the thing you guys don't see is I also have my fez over my lamp, and it's just like, I love this. This is my niche. This is my little pocket. This is the weird, cheap science fiction show, British, that I love so much, that uses cardboard cutouts of their villains in the background.
Hey, see, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right?
I'm like, mad respect.
Yeah. And so I guess with that, announcements this weekend. Wow. This Thursday, I am. What are we doing, Cameron?
We are.
We are doing
We
our book club
are.
on The Princess Bride. So come back and join us for that 6:45 Mountain Time for Classic Geek Summer. And hope everybody can come and hang out as we talk about a book that we probably all know the story of. And we can all hang out and do that. And then as we wrap and go into our post show, as always, you can find us as One Geek 411 around the social media spheres. You can join our Discord server. You can send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Check out our Redbubble store. And then you can watch live on Twitch, 6:45 Mountain Time, and find the videos over on YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe. And then, as I've been waiting for this whole time, you can also find us at our personal social media. Mine is Humar Whittle.
Mine is I am not prepared with an eye.
And it's been a great week.
See.
I love you.